The microphone trembled in Kendall's grip as the arena's roar faded to a deadly hush. "I'm gay," she said, her voice slicing through the stunned silence like a botched suplex. In that Barcelona Coliseum, under the glare of floodlights and the weight of a nation's expectations, her confession wasn't a liberation, it was a guillotine. The fallout hit like a steel chair to the spine. Sponsors vanished overnight, emails from her agent a staccato of regrets, family values clause. Her coach, the grizzled Texan who'd molded her from a scrappy Houston kid into WWE's rising Latina firebrand, wait, no, she wasn't Latina, but the promoters loved the exotic spin, texted a single emoji, a broken heart, followed by radio silence. Even her own mother, back in the panhandle, left voicemails thick with Bible verses and disappointment, her drawl cracking on, "I raised you better." Kendall Reyes, 28, undefeated in the women's division for 2 straight years, poster child for grit and glamour, was now just another headline, wrestling star's shocking reveal rocks Spanish tour. She fled Madrid the next dawn, trading the neon haze of hotel lobbies for a battered rental car winding through Andalusia's olive groves. Spain had been her escape once, a 6-month tour to build international buzz, promoters called it, but now it felt like exile. The rugged Sierras blurred past, a watercolor of terracotta hills and whitewashed pueblos that mocked her unraveling life. Kendall gripped the wheel until her knuckles blanched, the radio spitting flamenco tunes that twisted her gut like a figure-4 leg lock. Why here? Why now? Because America would have chewed her up faster, and at least the Mediterranean air tasted of salt and second chances. By sundown, she ditched the highway for a forgotten coastal village called El Puerto de las Olas, Port of the Waves, a speck on the map where fishermen mended nets and tourists rarely strayed. The Airbnb was a crumbling finca on the outskirts, its stucco walls etched with sea salt, overlooking cliffs that plunged into foam-frothed Atlantic swells. Kendall dumped her duffel in the shadowed foyer, the scent of jasmine and mildew wrapping around her like a reluctant embrace. She didn't unpack. Instead, she laced up her boots and hit the makeshift ring she'd spotted on the village app, a dirt ring platform behind the local gym, where kids play-fought under sagging ropes. That first night, the ring was empty save for the ghosts of her glory. She shadow-wrestled the dark, executing dropkicks into nothingness, her breaths ragged echoes off the stone walls. Sweat stung her eyes, but it couldn't wash away the viral clips looping in her mind, fans chanting slurs in the comments, her signature move renamed the Dyke Drop by trolls. She collapsed against the turnbuckle, chest heaving, and whispered to the stars, "What now, champ?" Leilani Vargas found her there at dawn, mistaking the silhouette for a stray dog rummaging the trash bins. At 30, Leilani was the village's quiet heartbeat, a potter whose hands shaped clay into vessels that held secrets, her studio a sunlit alcove crammed with wheels and half-formed bowls. Born in Barcelona to a flamenco dancer mother and a fisherman father, she'd washed up in El Puerto a decade ago after her own heartbreak, a fiancé who bolted when she confessed her love for women ran deeper than sisterly affection. Now, she mentored the village youth, teaching art to keep idle hands from trouble, her auburn waves often dusted with ochre like autumn leaves. "Estás bien?" Leilani called, her voice a soft lilt over the gravel. Kendall startled, scrambling to her feet, wiping grime from her tank top. Up close, Leilani was striking, olive skin glowing in the rose-gold light, eyes the color of aged cognac, a faint scar tracing her collarbone from a childhood fall. She carried a canvas tote slung over one shoulder, bulging with sketch pads. "Just working out," Kendall muttered, her Texas twang clashing with the morning's hush. She extended a hand, calloused from canvas grips and clinches. "Kendall." "Leilani." The potter's grip was firm, lingering a beat too long, sending a spark up Kendall's arm she hadn't felt since before the spotlight burned it out. "You look like you could use a coffee. Or a confessional." Kendall barked a laugh, raw and unexpected. "Coffee. Definitely coffee." They ended up at Café Del Mar, a harborside hole-in-the-wall where octogenarians nursed cortados and argued soccer. Leilani ordered for them, strong espresso for Kendall, a milky café con leche for herself, and slid into the booth like she'd been waiting her whole life for this stranger. You're American, she observed, not a question. Wrestler, from the build. And running from something big. Kendall's guard cracked like cheap plaster. Over refills, the story spilled, the live mic slip after her title defense, the roar turning to recoil, the flight across the Atlantic on a one-way ticket. Leilani listened without flinching, her fingers tracing patterns on the scarred wood table, circles, waves, a heart half-formed. Brave, Leilani said finally, her gaze steady. Foolish, maybe, but brave. Here, we say, el courage no se esconde, courage doesn't hide. But it doesn't have to scream either. That afternoon, Kendall trailed Leilani to her studio, a ritual that blurred into days. The potter's wheel hummed like a lover's murmur, clay yielding under Leilani's palms into sleek amphory that caught the light like promises. Kendall watched, mesmerized, her own hands itching for creation beyond destruction. Try it, Leilani urged one humid evening, guiding Kendall's fingers to the cool mound. Their touches overlapped, Leilani steady, Kendall's tentative, and the wheel spun a vessel that wobbled but held, a metaphor neither voiced. Nights deepened their orbit. They'd wander the cliffs, salt wind whipping their hair, sharing silences heavy with what-ifs. Leilani spoke of her daughter, Sophia. No, wait, the girl was Mia, a sprite of 12 with her mother's curls and a father's mischief, though he'd vanished years back. Mia's my anchor, Leilani said, voice softening. She sees the world without filters. Teaches me to shape what's broken into something useful. Kendall envied that purity. Her own childhood was ring aprons and road trips, her mother stitching sequin singlets while preaching piety. I never had that, she admitted one moonlit walk. Just the fight. And now? Nothing. Leilani stopped, turning to face her, the sea crashing below like applause. Nothing is a beginning, Kendall. Let me show you. What started as clay lessons bloomed into stolen glances, brushes of knuckles that lingered. One storm-lashed evening, as thunder rattled the Finca's shutters, Leilani leaned in over a shared sketchpad, her breath warm on Kendall's cheek. I've been waiting for someone like you, she whispered, and their lips met, soft, tentative, then fierce as the gale outside. It was a kiss born of exiles finding harbor, tongues tracing the maps of old wounds, bodies pressing close but holding back from the edge. No frenzy, just the quiet unraveling of souls long guarded. In the afterglow, tangled in threadbare sheets scented with lavender, Kendall traced Leilani's scar. What if I drag you down? My mess is a headline waiting to happen. Leilani's laugh was a balm. Headlines fade. This, she pressed Kendall's hand to her chest, over the steady thrum, this endures. But endurance is a lie we tell ourselves. Whispers slithered into El Porto like fog off the water. A village elder spotted Kendall's face on a tabloid left by a tourist, fallen star flees to Spain, scandal follows. Gossip bloomed in the mercado, la Americana marimacha. The word for lesbian spat like venom. Mia, oblivious at first, parroted it innocently at school, earning her a teacher's stern note home. Worse came from afar. Kendall's ex-sponsor, a conservative energy drink empire, sued for breach, claiming her lifestyle tarnished their brand. The legal papers arrived via courier, a thick envelope that Kendall burned in the Finca's hearth, ashes scattering like her resolve. But the real blade twisted when her mother called, not with forgiveness, but ultimatum. Come home, Kendra. Get help. Or don't come at all. The childhood nickname, twisted now, severed the last thread. Leilani held her through the sobs that night, but doubt seeded. I can't poison this, Kendall rasped. You, Mia, it's too pure. Stay, Leilani pleaded, eyes fierce. Fight for us. The village gym became Kendall's confessional, the dirt ring her confessor. She started small, coaching the local boys in grapples, her technique sharpening their clumsy swings. Word spread, and soon girls joined, tentative at first, then bold. Among them was Mia, all gangly limbs and unbridled fire, her braids flying as she executed a sloppy arm drag. Teach me to be unbreakable, Tia Kendall, she demanded, her English a charming Spanglish mash. Kendall's heart cracked open. In Mia's wide eyes, she saw the kid she'd been, fists clenched against a world that bruised first, asked questions later. Unbreakable isn't steel, Mija, she'd say, ruffling the girl's hair. It's bending without snapping. Leilani watched from the sidelines, pride mingling with a shadow. She'd hidden her own truth from Kendall, the letters from Barcelona, pleas from an old flame, Elena, a gallery owner who'd resurfaced, promising exhibits, stability, a life without village stairs. Come back, Elena's emails cooed. We were good once. Better than this hideaway. Guilt gnawed. Leilani loved Kendall, the raw honesty, the way her laugh echoed like waves on rock, but Elena offered escape from the whispers, a polished world where love didn't invite judgment. She drafted replies in secret, fingers hovering over send, torn between harbor and horizon. The storm broke on Fiesta de las Olas, the village's harvest bash under paper lanterns strung like stars. The square pulsed with guitars and laughter, tables groaning under paella and sangria. Kendall, coaxed into the ring for a demo match with the kids, felt alive, her body a symphony of spins and slams, Mia her pint-sized partner in a choreographed takedown that drew cheers. As the crowd swelled, a figure emerged from the throng, Elena, sleek in a Barcelona dress, her dark bob impeccable, eyes scanning like a hawk. Leilani froze mid-conversation, her wineglass slipping to shatter on stone. Kendall, spotting the shift, vaulted the ropes, landing beside her. Who is she? An old mistake, Leilani breathed, but Elena closed the distance, air-kissing cheeks with performative warmth. Leilani, darling. I saw your work online, stunning. And this? Village charmer. Her gaze flicked to Kendall, appraising, dismissive. The words landed like a low blow. Kendall stiffened, old insecurities flaring. Charmer. That's what you call love. Elena's smile was a scalpel. Love? Or pity? I know your story, wrestler. The tabloids paint a tragic portrait. Leilani deserves more than a refugee. The square hushed, lanterns swaying like pendulums. Mia, perched on a crate nearby, clutched her stuffed Lookador doll, eyes darting between the women. Leilani's face crumpled, betrayal's mirror, sharp as glass. Elena, stop. This isn't. But Kendall saw it then, the flicker in Leilani's eyes, the half-guarded phone she'd glimpsed nights ago. You knew she'd come. You invited this. Leilani's silence was damning. I was scared. The village talks, your lawsuit, I thought maybe. The hook twisted deeper. Kendall's world, fragile as sea glass, shattered. Scared of me? Of us? She backed away, the crowd parting like a receding tide. Mia scrambled down, tugging her sleeve. Tia, don't go. She's sorry. But Kendall was already running, boots pounding cobblestones toward the cliffs, the fiesta's joy curdling to jeers in her wake. Leilani chased, Elena's laughter a distant barb, but the distance yawned. Kendall, wait. It was doubt, not betrayal, I chose you. Too late, Kendall hurled back, voice breaking on the wind. She reached the overlook, waves gnashing below like accusations. The lawsuit, the disownment, now this, love as another ring she couldn't pin. Dawn clawed over El Puerto like a reluctant witness, painting the cliffs in bruised purples and golds. Kendall hadn't slept, the finca's bed was a battlefield of rumpled sheets and unspoken accusations. She'd packed by moonlight, duffel stuffed with hoodies and hurt, passport a ticket to anywhere but here. The village had tasted like salvation, but now it soured on her tongue, every olive tree a reminder of Leilani's touch, every wave crash echoing Mia's plea. Halfway down the hill, brakes failed, or so she thought, panic surging as the car fishtailed on a rain-slick curve. No, not failed, a pothole, deceptive in the gloom, sent her veering toward the guardrail. Tires screamed, gravel spat, and time stretched, flash of Leilani's smile, Mia's giggle, her mother's voicemail looping, "Kendra, come home." The jolt hurled her into spin, the world a blur of rock and sea, until the car wedged against a boulder, hood crumpled like foil. Dazed, Kendall crawled out, ribs throbbing, blood trickling from a split lip, minor, but metallic on her tongue. The drop yawned mere feet away, Atlantic indifferent below. She sank to the dirt, laughter bubbling hysterical. Universe's final pinfall, she gasped, hugging her knees. No signal for help, no savior but the rising sun mocking her solitude. Hours blurred, sun climbing, thirst gnawing, until tires crunched gravel. A battered Fiat sputtered to stop, and Mia tumbled out, braids wild, eyes saucer-wide. "Tia Kendall. I knew you'd crash, dreamed it last night." Behind her, Leilani emerged, face ashen, a thermos and blanket in hand. Mia woke screaming. "Said you needed us." The girl darted forward, wrapping skinny arms around Kendall's neck, her warmth a lifeline. "Don't leave. The ring's empty without you." Kendall clung back, tears salting the scrape on her cheek. Leilani knelt, dabbing the wound with a cloth, her touch feather-light. "We searched everywhere. Elena's gone, told her to leave at dawn." "It was never doubt, Kendall. It was fear of losing you." The confession hung, fragile as the morning mist. Mia, sensing the weight, piped up, "Mama's been making this." She thrust a lumpy clay figurine into Kendall's palm, a wrestler mid-leap, arms outstretched, base etched with "Unbreakable." Leilani's work, but Mia's idea, the girl's small hands evident in the uneven edges. Kendall's throat tightened. "How?" "Mia wouldn't sleep till we finished it." Leilani's voice cracked. "She said you taught her to bend, not break. Now let us teach you." The tow truck arrived by noon, hauled by a gruff mechanic who clucked over the damage but charged half fare after hearing Mia's earnest tale. Back in the village, the finca felt less like prison, more like port, Leilani brewing chamomile, Mia chattering about schoolyard grapples. But repair wasn't stitches, it was reckoning. That evening, under lantern glow, they talked, really talked, words weaving like Leilani's clay. Elena had been a ghost, a safety net from Leilani's Barcelona days, but the emails? A momentary waver, deleted unsent. "I chose the mess," Leilani said, lacing fingers with Kendall's. "Because it's ours." Kendall exhaled the poison. "And the lawsuit?" "My family. We fight," Leilani vowed. "Together." Mia, eavesdropping from the hall, burst in with a decree, "No more running. Tomorrow, the ring, demo for the whole village. Show am unbreakable." The idea ignited. Kendall hesitated, Spotlight's ghost still loomed, but Mia's grin was infectious, Leilani's nod steady. By midnight, plans sketched on butcher paper, a community showcase, not spectacle, but story. Invites scrawled in Mia's loopy script, delivered door to door. Word spread like wildfire through dry scrub. The village square transformed overnight, rope strung between olive trees, a makeshift apron of woven mats, lanterns strung for dusk's drama. Skeptics grumbled, Gringa nonsense, but curiosity drew them, fishermen in oilskins, abuelas with rosaries clutched, teens with phones poised. As the sun dipped, Kendall stepped into the ring, heart hammering like pre-bell jitters. Leilani flanked her, hand on hip, a quiet anchor. Mia, ring announcer in a cape fashioned from a tablecloth, bellowed into a soup ladle, "Ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of Texas by way of the stars, Kendall the Unbreakable Reyes." The crowd murmured, a mix of applause and crossed arms. Kendall raised the clay figurine, voice steady despite the quiver. "This village gave me more than refuge, it gave me fight. Not the kind with pins and submissions, but the real kind. The kind where you stand after the fall." She launched into demo, slow-motion moves with Mia, explaining holds not as weapons, but builds, this lock. Teaches trust. Volunteers joined, timid at first, then laughing as a burly baker botched a hip toss. Leilani narrated in Spanglish, her potter's grace turning grapples poetic. See how bodies yield. Like clay, stronger for the pressure. Elena's shadow lingered in whispers, but Kendall countered with truth, a raw recount of the arena mic, the hush that followed. Coming out wasn't the end, it was the start. And here, with these two, she pulled Leilani and Mia close, I found my corner. Gasps rippled, some approving, others averted eyes, but Mia's cheer pierced, unbreakable. Others echoed, tentative, then thunderous. And Abuela tossed a rose over the ropes, a teen girl, eyes shining, asked for tips. By firefly hour, the square pulsed with impromptu matches, sangria flowing freer than judgment. Kendall and Leilani stole to the cliffs, Mia asleep on a blanket under stars. You did it, Leilani murmured, forehead to Kendall's. We did. Their kiss was salt-kissed, deep as the sea below, romance not fireworks, but heathfire, steady and warm. But drama's not a single fall, it's a series. Days later, the lawsuit escalated, deposition demands via email, threatening travel bans. Kendall's phone buzzed with her mother's number, ignored until desperation cracked her. She answered on the finca porch, Leilani eavesdropping from the kitchen. Mom. Kendra. The drawl was steel now. Papers say you're suing back. Pride goeth before. It's not pride, Kendall snapped. It's survival. Silence stretched, broken by a sigh. Your father. He watched the clip. Said you looked strong. Like me, before the cancer took him. The revelation blindsided. Kendall sank to the step, Leilani's arms encircling from behind. Why now? Because I was wrong. Scared. But blood's thicker than scripture. A pause, then, send the address. I'll come. Hope flickered, fragile. But betrayal's echo lingered, Mia, playing nearby, overheard and beamed, Abuela. Like in stories. The visit came midweek, Evelyn Reyes alighting from a dusty bus, silver-streaked hair pinned practical, eyes wary behind cat eyes. She clutched a quilt, embroidered with wrestling motifs, Kendall's first belt, immortalized in thread. The finca air thickened as she met Leilani's gaze, then Mia's hug, stiff at first, then softening. Over encymatas and tea, truths tumbled. Evelyn confessed her own silences, a college crush buried under convention, a marriage of duty. I pushed you to fight so you wouldn't bend like I did. Leilani shared her scars, Mia bridging with clay figurines gifted like talismans. By dusk, Evelyn lingered, watching Kendall and Mia spar in the yard. She's got your fire, she told Leilani, voice gruff. Keep her fierce. The reconciliation wasn't fairy dust, emails from Texas followed, laced with questions, not condemnations. But Kendall's fight raged on, lawyers bartering clauses, media sniffing for scoops. A Barcelona reporter tracked her to El Puerto, ambush interview at the Mercado, Ms. Reyes, is this hideout a comeback or cop-out? Kendall, basket of tomatoes in hand, met the lens unflinching. It's home. And home's where you pin your demons. The clip went viral, not a scandal, but spark. Sponsors trickled back, queer-friendly ones, a gymwear line with rainbow stitching, a foundation for athlete mental health. Kendall's agent resurfaced, contrite, tour in the States, your terms. But El Puerto held. She stayed, weaving wrestling into village life, clinics for girls, scholarships from her residuals. Leilani's studio expanded, bowls etched with supplex swirls selling to tourists. Their love deepened in quiet rhythms, dawn walks, Mia's bedtime tales of Tia and Mama's epic tag team. Yet climax loomed, unbidden. Mia's school play, a retelling of Don Quixote, windmills as foes, cast her as Dulcinea, brave and unyielding. Rehearsals were joy, but opening night brewed storm. The principal, a Dar traditionalist, pulled Leilani aside. Your lifestyle. It confuses the children. Step down as chaperone, or Mia sits out. The ultimatum landed like a chair shot. Leilani stormed home, slamming doors, Kendall finding her amid shattered pots. They can't take her spark. They won't. Kendall's resolve hardened. We fight clean. The school auditorium crackled with pre-curtain jitters, velvet seats filled with villagers in Sunday best, the air thick with buttered popcorn and anticipation. Mia peeked from the wings, costume a makeshift gown of tulle and lace, her braids crowned with paper flowers. Mama, Tia, you came. Leilani forced a smile, Kendall's hand a vice in hers. The principal's decree had festered overnight, whispers in the green room, side eyes from stage moms. Evelyn, visiting still, sat front row, her presence a quiet gauntlet thrown. Let them try to dim her, the older woman muttered, quilting needle idle in her lap. As lights dimmed, the play unfolded, nights tilting at illusions, dreams clashing with doubt. Mia's entrance stole breath, her voice clear as a bell, reciting lines with a wrestler's poise. I am no damsel, I am the wind that topples giants. The audience leaned in, enchanted, until the pivot. In the script's climax, Dulcinea rallies the quest, unscripted, Mia ad-libbed, eyes locking on Leilani in the shadows. True strength isn't hiding who you love. It's charging the windmill, lance high, heart open. Gasps rippled, the principal's face mottled beet red backstage. Curtain call erupted, standing ovation thundering, flowers raining like confetti. But as Mia bowed, the principal strode on stage, mic in hand. A word, parents. This production strays from values. We must. Kendall surged forward, vaulting the orchestra pit in a move pure instinct, landing light as a moon's alt. The crowd hushed, phones flashing. Values, she boomed, voice echoing off rafters. Like teaching kids to question love. To shame what's real. Leilani joined her, Mia clutching her skirt, a tiny trinity. Evelyn rose, quilt unfurled like a banner, that's my daughter up there. And her family. Who's with us? The tide turned. A fisherman bellowed agreement, abuelas crossed themselves not in judgment, but solidarity. The principal faltered, mic trembling. This is procedure. Procedure changes, a teacher countered from the wings. Murmurs swelled to roar, chants of unbreakable, echoing Mia's figurine creed. Backlash brewed post-show, emails to the school board, a petition circling by midnight. The principal resigned by week's end, citing community pressures. National news sniffed, Spanish Village stands for love, thrusting El Puerto into spotlights Kendall once fled. But this glow was different, invitations for talks, not takedowns. In the fallout's hush, Kendall and Leilani rebuilt, literally, piecing pots with gold-laced kintsugi, cracks gilded glorious. Mia thrived, her play a village legend, sleepovers now tag-team training sessions. Evelyn extended her stay, trading panhandle recipes for paella, her Bible gathering dust beside Leilani's sketchbooks. Romance, once a stolen spark, became hearth, lazy Sundays molding clay nudes, tasteful, evocative, fingers tracing curves that spoke volumes. Nights on the finca roof, stars winking approval, Kendall whispering vows unspoken, you're my pinfall, every time. The lawsuit settled quietly, sponsors folding under public glare, payouts funneled to a foundation, Reyes Resilience, scholarships for young athletes, queer or otherwise, to chase dreams unapologetic. Kendall headlined a U.S. return, not as fallen, but forged, a docuseries, ring of truth, raw cuts of her journey, Leilani's cameos a soft counterpoint. Betrayal scar faded, not erased, Elena's final email a curt goodbye, archived unread. Doubt's lessons lingered, love as choice, daily defended. Humanistic, yes, in the village's weave, threads of varied hues stronger entwined. One golden autumn eve, as leaves skittered like confetti, Kendall proposed, not with rings, but ritual. In the dirt ring, under harvest moon, she knelt before Leilani and Mia, clay figurines in hand, three now, linked arms eternal. Marry me, she said to Leilani, adopt me, to Mia. Build unbreakable with me. Tears traced Leilani's cheeks, joy's map. Yes, they chorused, Mia's squeal-piercing night. The village gathered unbidden, lanterns lit, guitars strummed, a fiesta born of yes. Evelyn, beaming from the sidelines, tossed the quilt over their shoulders. Blood and chosen, that's family. Kendall rose, pulling them into embrace, the sea's sigh approval. She'd lost everything once, arena, approbation, armor. But in El Puerto's embrace, with Leilani's warmth and Mia's fire, she gained the world, not spotlights, but stars. Not falls, but flights. And in that ring of life, she pinned fear forever.